Tending our calling. The world needs your vision. It's so good to be back with you today. I'm going to cry. So it's just really good to be back with you today. Last Memorial Day, I was in Nauvoo, Illinois, with a gathering of indigenous elders from around the world. And I mean around the world. Greenland, Australia, the Netherlands, the Mayan culture from the Sierra Nevadas, the Mamus from that secret hidden people of the Santa Matas, and those from multiple tribes across the United States, Canada, and into South America. Oddly enough, it was the gathering that led me to be with you today. First, let me go back to 2009 in Sebastopol, California. I was with another gathering of women leaders, some indigenous, women leading organizations and projects from around the world. One woman, Gloria, from a tribe in Canada, explained that when she received the invitation to come to this gathering, she took that invitation to her tribal council. They discussed it and decided to send her with a message for our gathering. And then she explained it was her responsibility to take any information that she gathered from being with us back to her community. I realized I didn't have a community to take wisdom back to. It was that experience in Sebastopol that made me decide to call a group of women together for what is now the Shoreline UU Women's Circle. It was the beginning, a place to share the power of an idea. So back to my time last Memorial Day. In this gathering, there was not only women, men, women, and children. Some were in ceremonial dress, feather regalia, ribbons, skirts, lots of drums and flutes and teepees, fires, smudging, ceremony, and a great deal of respect. And what did I see? Groups sitting on the grass. Groups dotted all over the landscape of the grass, with an elder sitting in the middle because somebody had asked a question. What is your vision? Tell me your story. Do you remember the prophecies? Respect for what is history and what is hope and possibility. And of course, the prophecies that were talked about a lot there was of the eagle from the north and the condor from the south, flying together again as an indication of peace, which is what they wanted for their children 7 generations out. I'm clear that what is going on in the world today is not what I want for my children, my grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. The cultures that have created separation, blame, those which justify killing is not what I want for them. We are handling homelessness, addictions, active shooters, domestic violence, and handling is not the vision I want for my children. What is the vision you have? What is the hope and desire that you have for your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren 7 generations out? In the face of what is, it is critical for you to know your what is to be. There's a story of a village in Africa. The inhabitants of the village had been living on the bank of an amazing river, generation after generation. It is their source of life. Water for crops, bathing, drinking, washing their clothes, and abundant food. An unending flow of fresh water. They are totally content living in their little village right there by the river. One day, as the women were out washing clothes, around the bend and down the river comes a basket. Now, they'd never explored around the bend and up the river, no need to. The water was constant, theirs, and life unfolded. So a basket was surprising. The women looked at each other, and then one waded out to retrieve the basket. To her surprise, it contained a baby. A baby, wrapped warmly, lying in a handmade basket, floating down their river. She hailed the other women. Several waded out to help her bring the baby to shore, and all eyes were on the young one. Indeed, it was a healthy baby, warmly wrapped. What to do? Well, of course, they knew a young one needed a home. So they took the baby back to their village, and after being fed and cuddled, a home was found. All is well, and the villagers went on with their lives. Until next month, another basket appeared in the river. And this time, the women were more aware, but yes, the basket could carry another baby, but that would be rather strange, but it could be. The women stopped their washing, sent one into the stream to investigate. Indeed, she signaled, it was the same, a warmly wrapped baby in the basket. They brought the baby to shore, and then another family was more than happy to include the new one in their home. And then month after month, and then more often babies coming down the river in baskets. Now, this village was small. They were able to support themselves and maintain stability, but all these extra babies were putting a strain on what they could do and how they interacted with each other. Now, the babies in the basket became a problem rather than a joyful inclusion. No one thought to go upstream to find out why babies were coming down the river. Their story of life had been all about circumstances within the village by the river. They handled those. They didn't think of exploring beyond. Einstein said, "You cannot solve a problem from the same consciousness or set of stories that created it. Solutions require us to step outside the boxes of old patterns in order to find solutions. Otherwise, we are handling babies that will eventually overwhelm us. We have to go upstream. In fact, in my experience, that's where solutions exist. As a young man, Tesla had determined that he wanted to benefit humanity, and that's what he was about. This was at a time when Nazi Germany was actively recruiting individuals with inventive ideas into their vision of taking over the world. Instead, Tesla left for America. He is still known as one of the greatest inventors and geniuses of our time. Tesla explained that for him, an idea would come into his mind. He discerned, would it bring benefit to the masses? If so, he would go into his workshop, an imaginary place, he explained, and work with the idea. He'd lay it out, put it together, notice the glitches, back to the drawing board, and tweak the plans, over and over until he saw it work, all in his imagination. And he said, as soon as I could know in my unseen world, in that room, that the idea worked, I would bring it out. Then he would put it into a blueprint, gather materials, and take action. And he said, I always knew it would work because I had seen it so in my imagination. In our world today, there are lots of problems. Babies, babies, babies. More than we can handle. Guns in schools, deteriorating environment, thinking going down the tube, increased homelessness, addictions, mental instability, financial disparity, murders in relationships. And yet, we have been reluctant, especially in our developed countries, to encourage our geniuses to refine their ability to go into imagination and go upstream to find out where the problem began. Or even to try on solutions that are not seen, felt, tasted, smelled, all physical, all that we could see. Indeed, we often discourage or diminish the value of such non-physical actions as inconsequential to the great need. But I work in that world where the question can be asked, what is the cause? The world others would call imagination or Pollyanna. I was assured by one family counselor who read my first book that they are trained counselors to call the insight of my main character hallucination. I remember a time when a former religious leader told the members of a larger congregation, only those higher up on the ladder, meaning men, can have dreams or visions. That gift is too powerful, they said, for the lowly common folk, including all women. I know there is a way to work in that world and be safe and sane. It is the only way to go around the bend and up the river to find the problem and thereby the solution. How can we more powerfully impact the world for change? First, recognize there are problems. We have that. Realize that there are many answers needed for any problem. Some will be whistleblowers, others will write, carry signs, organize marches, create group projects, something to be seen and get behind. Very physical. This is where babies are taken from the river and put into new families. Then you are willing to go, if you're willing to go around the bend and up the river, there are many changes that are even more possible. Some educate to help the masses change their view of the world by changing old stories. Podcasts such as any kind, TikTok, lectures, YouTubes, books, is a way of changing the world. We can't get solutions if we don't change the stories we've been living from, as Einstein said, a mental change. Others feel to focus on eliminating generational trauma, healing historic violence, freeing emotional pain to prevent responses and actions that would repeat the harm. Emotional and spiritual change. You want a new world? You see, there are many pieces to make that happen. Everyone can do something. What is yours? And where do you want to start? Well, simple steps. First, claim your values. What values must your vision of the world contain? Tesla chose benefit the masses. Yours could be something such as, I'm a presence for cooperation, integrity, wisdom, of truth, sanity, love, expansion. The UUs know how to do this very well. Second, what problem would you like to see changed? Environment, guns and killing in schools, violence in relationships? Write it down. Now you have your values, you have a change that you would like to see. Third, take quiet time to sense how the end result would look and feel. Going into Tesla's imagination workshop. You move into your workshop of imagination in the quiet, sit. You have your values, you have your vision outcome, and you say, I would like to be a part. I don't know how, but I want to be a part. Up until now, for example, guns in schools have been a problem, but I am calling for a solution of stability, respect, and safety based on my values. And you sense the end result. Do you know how to make it happen? No, you do not. In the workshop of imagination, you listen. You are the one to stand as a presence of the change, of what it must be. You be the change there, and then listen. What ideas come through for you? In the Jewish tradition, there is a phrase that means we are here to repair the earth. They claim in that phrase, we are all called to a work. So you are called to a work you will not complete, and a work you cannot put down. So what idea will spark your interest? Will you be one who organizes marches or one who writes articles? Will you be sparked to create songs to inspire or run for political office? Will a healing career beckon you, or sitting in regular meditative prayer? I am here coming back from having been many places others would call upstream. I have seen new ideas and truths show up that when I stepped outside of the box of women can't and follow what is known, and asking for the unseen is not safe, I saw changes happen, miracles happen. You have a role to play. What I realized at Nauvoo was that if we want the condor and the eagle to fly north and south in peace, we have to begin by finding answers, your calling upstream. Hear your call? I hear mine. I can cheer your prayers as I paint signs. I can share your podcast even as I'm marching in front of the White House. Together, we can acknowledge that planting trees and speaking before the UN has equal value. We cheer each other because adopting a community garden and standing between a bulldozer and sacred tree groves changes the world. Praying in silence in our closets or creating YouTube videos to educate are both valuable and needed. The variety of actions directly impact the multidimensional world we live in: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. I can love what you're doing because I don't have to do it. What about our babies with village with all those babies? By sending a group willing to travel around the bend and upstream, they might discover that a tiny community had become totally enslaved. The only hope those parents had for their children was to send them down the river, hoping someone would find them and keep them safe. Knowing this, our free village could recruit others to support going into that village to remove the invaders, to put safeguards in place. The villages could then both live peacefully and now in support of one another. Had that not been done, and it happens so many times that we haven't been going upstream, so it doesn't get done. Had that not been done, our quiet village by the river would have been the next target to be invaded. I know that lives change when concepts change. Your ideas, visions, hopes, and dreams are needed in our world. You are called, you are needed, and you are not alone.